Hello guys, welcome to my channel. As always, it's your boy Curtis Williams. This is W.I.H.T.S, what I have to say. Humble to have you guys and me once again. Hope everybody out there is having a fantastic day. Thank you for joining me here on W.I.H.T.S Gaming. Today's video, guys, is basically about the fantastic game Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice that came out, I believe, in 2017. But it seems the studio Ninja Theory has released an update to make up for their own sacrifices that they had to make when the game initially launched. Now I'm talking about resolution, frame rate, and now because of the power of these next-gen systems, they've been able to add the all-touted ray tracing, baby. That's right, ray tracing is now part of Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. But guys, we've got three modes here. So we've got Enrich Mode, which adds the all-glorious ray tracing. We've got Performance Mode, which now enables the game to be played at 120 Hz. And also, we've got Resolution Mode, which enables the game to be played at a full 4K, I believe. Look, they do say it's dynamic resolution, but because of the power of the systems, it hangs around 4K most of the time. So anyway, guys, just to get into more of the details, Enrich Mode supports 4K on Series X, and that's HD, full HD on Series S, and that's both at 30 frames per second. So that's the mode that has the ray tracing. And also, I believe they've said that they've added increased texture resolution bump. They've even added a character select, chapter select to the game as well, but they've increased particle quality, increased draw distance, higher levels of detail to the game as well. Now, the second mode, Performance Mode on Series X, offers dynamic resolutions up to 1080p at 120 frames per second. Now, on Series S, mind you, it doesn't quite hit that 120 frames, so that's running at full HD, so that's full 1080p at 60 frames per second. So sorry guys, on Series S, 120 is out of the question here. But resolution mode, the last mode on Series X, prioritizes the dynamic resolution to 4K, right? So that's resolution mode hitting 4K most of the time and at 60 frames per second. Resolution mode on Series S gets a dynamic resolution support of up to 1080p at 30 frames per second. So some compromises have been made on the Series S, guys, but I think the big issue here, the big deal here, is that all-touted ray tracing mode, is that Enrich Mode, where on both systems you're getting ray tracing at 30 frames per second, guys. So here you can see me running the game, and I've booted up the Performance Mode first off to see what it all is all about. And here, as I said, it is running at 1080p on the Series X, which I'm playing on right now. And here you can see here, as I check out the reflections, that is definitely SSR. So the reflections, when you look away, disappears, right? So as I put the camera down, you can see as the actual image on screen goes out of the camera view, the reflection disappears from the puddle as well. That is what you call SSR, right? That's a screen space reflection, should I say. But here it does look kind of blurry, if I'm being honest. As I'm playing it on a 55-inch OLED screen, I can notice that it is 1080p, guys. It is definitely noticeable. And this is running at 120 frames per second. So, hey, I mean, a game like this, if I'm being honest, this wouldn't be the mode I would pick at all. I would jump between the other two modes, if I'm being quite honest. Obviously, we will check on that in a second. But here, 1080p, 120 frames per second. I don't think this game really needs 120 frames, if I'm being honest. This is a more slower, methodical game. It has puzzles. Yes, it does have some combat, but even the combat is not really that fast-paced combat that I think demands 120 frames per second, right? But anyway, as you can see here, I'm looking straight at Senua. The loss of DL in her clothing, in her skin. Some of the scarring is hardly visible on her skin here. So yeah, you're definitely compromising if you're looking to play at 120 frames per second. So you can see here, I'm going into options. You can't actually change the graphical settings while the game is being played. It is grayed out. So you have to actually come out of the game. Some might find that a nuisance. It didn't really bother me, especially in this case where it allows me to actually boot up from the exact same place, so I can make exact so we can check exactly what it looks like from that same place, the surroundings, and see the comparisons. That's the word I was looking for, but for some reason my brain froze. Anyway, guys, we're booting up here, and this will be the resolution mode, right, guys? So this is resolution mode prioritizes 4K. Well, it is dynamic resolution for dynamic 4K, but it does prioritize it on the Series X, right, which I'm playing on right now. Those that will be playing on the Series X, Series S, should I say, is going to have 1440p. It will prioritize 1440p, but it will be 30 frames per second. But here on the all-powerful Series X, we got 4K like I said, prioritizing 4K, but because of the power of the system, it hangs around 4K more often. And 60 frames, guys. It's not 120, but 60 frames. Still smooth. You just saw when I looked at the puddle there, it is still using SSR. As always, when you look away from the actual image, it disappears in the puddle. That is what screen space reflection is all about. It can't keep the reflection in the puddle when the actual image is out of view of the camera. So here we come outside again. If I'm looking at this texture on the sort of, I don't know, side banister here, you can see the texture is more visible than it was in the performance mode because of that bump up to resolution, guys. And I must say, it makes a big difference, man. That resolution on a 4K screen, it does make a big difference. And to be honest, I'm all good with 60 frames, guys. Like I said, I don't think this game demands 120 frames per second. I'm looking at the ground here because, you know, it's fascinating. Why not? Now, I'm looking at the ground to see if the texture has been improved. And again, with that extra bumpy resolution, it looks a lot better, guys. So I thought I'd run out here again just to see what it looks like as we come into a more wide open space. You can see again the SSR coming into play here, that screen space reflection, losing it. The reason I'm doing that, guys, I want you to notice when we actually get to Enrich mode, see the difference. It is quite impressive, guys. Anyway, walking out here, again, seeing that SSR in action, losing that reflection once the image is out of view. But still, that resolution bump makes a huge difference to my eyes on this screen. Trust me, guys, it really does. I'm sure you can see yourselves anyway. And at 60 frames, you know, it's still smooth, right? I mean, really, that 120 frames, because of the slow nature of the game, it really isn't necessary. Look, I'm glad they gave it the option. Options is always a good thing. I always argue for more options if it's possible. But here, I'm guessing most people will be sticking between the other two modes. Again, looking at the reflections here, just to let you know what you'll be in for, what will be sacrificed, what you're sacrificed basically with this mode in terms of the Enrich mode, which we will see in just a moment. But this game, even though it came out in 2017, guys, right? This is a last gen game. It still holds up. It still looks drop dead gorgeous compared to even some of the so-called next-gen games that we've already seen today. If you compare to, I don't know, something like Demon's Souls on the PlayStation 5, right? Hey, I'm not saying it looks better than Demon's Souls. I'm just saying it holds up a little bit next to it, right? It's still a very gorgeous looking game. I think Ninja Theory did a fantastic job with this game. And you have to bear in mind, guys, they did this on their own. Normally, Ninja Theory works in partnership with, mostly they've worked with Sony in the past. Even this game, this came out on the Sony platform first. But still, this game, as I said, they did it themselves. In the past, they've worked with Sony. They've even worked with Capcom, where they've got the extra financial support. With Capcom, obviously, I'm talking about DMC, Devil May Cry. They got that extra financial support from Capcom. And so they've always been able to make AAA games. But here, this game, they themselves call it a AA game because they financed it themselves. They did the mocap in-house by themselves. They had to actually make a special rig to capture the mocap. Anyway, guys, here is the Enrich mode. You can see it actually takes longer to load in the assets because there's just so much detail being loaded in here, guys. Now, you're noticing first thing is that frame rate drop, right? You feel it. I felt it straight away here. It's a bit jarring, but once you get used to it and once you start looking around, you start appreciating what's on offer here, guys. I don't know if it's me. I don't know if they really added extra detail to this scene, but my eyes is just noticing more things. It seems like they've added extra foliage. It seems like they've added extra particles and extra shadow quality. It really does. As I said, they've said it in the quote there, so it must be true. And the detail, even as I'm looking up there on that top banister, you can see here, even from this distance, the detail jumps out at you guys. So clearly this Enrich mode is firing on all cylinders when it comes to graphics, right? Graphically. Now here, guys, I want to just point out something. Now, there is some SSR still being used, even though this is a ray tracing mode, right? So it seems like not everywhere is going to use ray tracing. I just wanted to point out here quickly by showing you this puddle, this amazing puddle here. But still, there is some decent reflections being given off here. But not all ray tracing. Some is SSR. But wait till we head out to that all important opened area down when we head down the stairs here. Again, looking at the fantastic ground. I think there's even more detail on the ground now. But look at this podium. Look at this side banister here. Look at that, all that fine detail in this Enrich mode. Absolutely gorgeous, guys. Absolutely gorgeous. And as I said, this Enrich mode is, again, prioritizing 4K, right? In the Enrich mode. It is dynamic 4K, but because of the power of the system, it hits 4K most of the time. So here we are, guys, coming into the outside, and bam! Tell me you noticed that ray tracing straight away. Look, no SSR there. That is pure ray tracing reflections, guys, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Look at it. Brilliant. And look at that. It's spread across the whole ground. All the puddles here, it's all using ray tracing. So it's like a mirror that's been laid on the ground, just reflecting everything back at you. It's beautiful, guys. Absolutely beautiful. Now, bear in mind, this YouTube compression just really doesn't do it justice. You have to see it actually in person. And it is striking, guys. Absolutely beautiful. Again, this larger puddle showing more reflections. And even just the surroundings, again, I don't know how much detail they've packed in, extra detail, shall I say, they've packed in, but my eyes is just noticing more foliage, more details in the grass and in the plant's life, tree life, and even the light that's coming through the skies. You know, that was what they call it, sunbeams, is it, or something like that? But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. They just look gorgeous. Lighting as a general looks amazing in this mode, guys. Look at that reflection there. Absolutely beautiful. But as I said, lighting just looks amazing in this mode. It's different from all the other modes. I don't know if they're using some sort of ray tracing GI solution, global illumination solution here, as in Metro Exodus, what they did with their updates there, that used full ray tracing global illumination. But I'm not sure if they're using that here, but I'm sure there's something. They're using something different in terms of lighting, guys, because the lighting looks different in terms of how it surrounds the, how it hits the surroundings. Look at that light coming through the trees there. Absolutely fantastic and gorgeous. I'm geeking out over freaking light beams, guys. But look again, look at that reflection on the ground. It just because it's spread across most of the game. It's not like you've got mirrors and stuff, but it's the puddles that are spread across most of this game, right? From start to beginning. Even right at the beginning of the game, you've got that big sort of is it a lake or something, right? All that is ray trace, guys, in this Enrich mode. So it looks drop dead gorgeous. Looks absolutely fantastic. As you're moving through that opening stage, and you've got that pond, that sort of, so I say, swamp area. All that is ray trace. So you can imagine what that looks like, guys. So if you haven't got this game yet on Xbox, go and check it out. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's on Game Pass, guys. So what have you got to lose? It's absolutely free if you're already subscribed to Game Pass. Go and boot it up. Go and check it out for yourself. Trust me, you will be impressed. But again, you're sacrificing that frame rate, guys. Bear that in mind. So it really comes down to you. What do you want? I mean, being on Game Pass, really, it's not really that much of a it's not a financial investment at all. So yeah, you can boot up one day and feel like playing at 30 frames with beautiful graphics and all that ray tracing goodness, right? One day you might decide to play on resolution mode, where you get the 4K 60 frames per second goodness, right? You get that frame rate boost, and trust me, it makes a difference, that frame rate boost, guys. It really does. Dropping from 60 to 30 here, I felt it hard. I felt it. But again, this is a slower paced game, so it might not matter to many people. I think I can get into it. I played it for about an hour or so in this 30 frames per second mode, and to be honest, after a while I sort of got into it, but I was just awing at all the visuals as I was moving along. I was just googling at all the visuals as I was going along. I don't know if once the novelty of that wears off, I would come back to this mode again. As I said, 60 frames does make a big difference in terms of movements and all that, but I don't know, to each their own, guys. If you can stand that 30 frames, I think the visuals more than makes up for it. But anyway, guys, let's call it an end now. I'm going to wrap this up. I just wanted to bring you the 3 modes here for you to see visually as I move through them, as I move through the stages. I hope you liked it. I hope you appreciated it, guys. Tell me what you think down in the comments. Which mode will you be hitting the most? And tell me about the 120 frames mode as well, guys. Is there anyone out there that would play that mode with that 1080p sacrifice? Do you think this game really needs 120 frames per second mode? I'd love to know how many people actually play that mode as a general rule. But guys, Thank you so much for joining me. You know what to do. Go back and check out my old stuff. Like, share, and subscribe. Please subscribe for watching, guys. It really does help out the channel. Smash that like button if you enjoyed this video and if you feel inclined to. And press that bell if you want to be notified when my next videos drop. Thanks so much, guys. You know what to do. Be nice to someone out there, alright? Doesn't cost you anything. And let's change the world one day at a time. Keep your wits about you. That's all I have to say in the matter. See you next time round. Take care, guys. Bye now.